All right, guys, we've got new articles coming out highlighting the absolutely massive price drops that areas of Southwest Florida, such as Punta Gorda, where I am today, and Cape Coral and Fort Myers have seen since the peak pricing of 2022. And it's actually, the numbers I have are worse than what we have here. We'll go over both, but they are saying that home prices in Punta Gorda have fallen 18.6% since their peak. In Cape Coral, Fort Myers, they are down 13.7% since their peak. Now, again, that was in July of 2022 until I believe May is the most recent numbers they have. But they include condos in here. They include a lot of different property types. And make no mistake, condos are hit the worst. I mean, condos across Punta Gorda alone are down, and they reference that in this article, are down probably about 40% since their peak, if not more. Some of the drops we've seen and featured on this channel are absolutely insane. We all know the reasons why. I won't get into that. We'll do a separate condo video because they, it's going to get a lot harder to sell your condos here soon as well. So keep an eye out for the video on that and why. It's not just the stuff we've covered, but I want to focus on single family, and I want to dive into very specifically Punta Gorda as a city, because from what I can tell, not only do they lump every property type in with this 18% decline, but they also kind of look as the Punta Gorda MSA to them is kind of greater Charlotte County. And if you dive into somewhere like just the city, it's much, much worse. And we'll get into it. Now, before we get into my numbers, which are going to come from the Florida Association of Realtors, I want to touch on the article by Resi Club here, because they have been highlighting for quite some time. They say that Southwest Florida is the weakest regional chunk of the U.S. housing market. We all kind of know that at this point. Now, they do go on to say that while Austin in Texas has seen a large overall price drop, down 23% since its peak, it isn't experiencing year-over-year price declines as steep as we are here in areas like Punta Gorda, like Cape Coral. So they also, like I said, they do specify that condos do account for most of this, but when we look at my numbers, we're just going to go single family. I had to stop and swing back because that house is crazy back there. 2 garages, 4-car garage, one on either side, on the water. It's awesome. That's just pretty cool. Okay, so what do I have for numbers? Because they're saying it's an 18% decline going by their numbers for Punta Gorda. Well, when you pull the data from the Florida Realtors, as I mentioned, it's far, far worse. So single-family homes in the city of Punta Gorda peaked in what I found was May of 2022. I thought it'd be closer to July, but it was May of 2022 with an average sales price of just over $1 million. Last month, in May of 2025, 3 years later, it was $688,000, a 32% decline in the average sales price in this metro. In just 3 years, guys. And this is where when we report, oh, it's a 10% decrease year over year, people go, what's 10%? Well, 10% 3 years in a row. Here we are. I don't know how people define market crashes. I have heard that it's to the tune of 30%. So has this market crashed? Is it still crashing? I mean, 32% on the average sales price is absolutely mind-blowing. And they're saying 13% for Cape Coral, Fort Myers. So I just pulled Cape Coral, single family in Cape Coral, but single family homes peaked in Cape Coral in April of 2022. Single family home prices, according to the Florida Realtors, they were at $581,000 on average and have since fallen compared to April of 2025 to $467,000. So that's only a 20% decline, where the 32% here kind of makes that look tame. So we have a 20% decline in single-family home values in Cape Coral. We have a 32% decline in single-family home values in the city of Punta Gorda. I don't know, guys. What do you think in the comments? Is that a crash? I mean, is Is there more room to go? Is this the bottom? Let me know what you think. And really quickly, guys, if you enjoy this content, I would appreciate it if you could smash that like button, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out immensely, and I appreciate everybody who already has. While we digest that data, I do want to take a minute to look at some of the maps they have illustrating what we're talking about here as well. So just for reference, guys, this is the article from Fast Company. Southwest Florida's housing market is undergoing a material home price correction. Here's why. I'll get into my own reasons, but again, as you can see, the numbers that they have are a combination of properties. And if you just look at single family, like we mentioned, it's much, much worse. And they have examples of homes being listed for $1.15 million and then ultimately selling at $899. That is 8.7% below that home's June 2022 purchase price. So similar to what we've looked at here, a lot of examples like this I've shown you on the channel. And they're actually saying that the estimate's home value is $721 now currently. Eesh. That's from the Zillow Home Value Index. Yikes. So they do a metro area home price shift review here since July of 2022. This is a graph from Resi Club. You can see Miami's up, but it's on the downslope. It was up to 8% increase. Now it's heading back down. United States as a whole is sitting at 2%, while Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Pete, Marco Island, it just gets worse. Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and Punta Gorda is the #1 place getting an absolute beating, which I've been covering here for 2 years. 2 years ago when I said this was happening and this was coming, which is really, just started doing YouTube right around here, January 23, when these declines started becoming very noticeable and people said, you're nuts. It bounced back here in 23 a little bit, but the lines are clear here, guys. Here's a great question. Heading forward, one big question is, have home prices fallen enough in markets like Punta Gorda and Cape Coral to get the attention of home buyers, mom and pop single family investors, and capital investors? I don't believe acquisition capital is in the market right now. Home buyers are. Home buyers are like, hey, I can get a pretty good deal right now. Mom and pop single family investors still not heading in my opinion, in these areas because the rental market is so overly saturated. And you guys can see, I've shown this chart before from Resi Club. It's the change in metro level home prices since each metro's respective peak. Actually, no, I haven't shown this one. So this is a new one. This is the change in metro level prices since the peak of 2022. As you can see, the hardest hit areas are what they mentioned in the article, what we showed on that map. Some areas of Texas getting hit pretty bad. Austin's at 23%, so barely overtaking Punta Gorda. The consistent declines in Punta Gorda, though, I would maintain are probably a stronger contender for than Austin is for nationwide leader. New Orleans down 15% as well, but you guys can check out this site. This will be linked in the description. Now, their reasoning is a little different than mine. I mean, for greater Southwest Florida, it kind of aligns with me. I have my own reasons for Punta Gorda, Charlotte County, and Cape Coral in general, but the reasons why this is happening, these price declines are happening, is, as we know, the migration surge to Florida has kind of fizzled out. Now, if you look at net domestic migration shift here, we peaked at 314 in 2022, down heavily in 2024, almost as bad as when you know what hit. So we'll see what 2025 looks like. I expect it's going to go up. It's not going to be anywhere near as bad as 2024. But do we get back to 314 when we were the only place open again? I don't know. I don't know about that. But that big drop in demand here. Now, a quick ride through Punta Gorda will illustrate how many homes we have for sale. It's very easy to see that. We've also gone over massive price reductions that are occurring in this area. But now I'm starting to see even more and more people who bought in this mania, who bought in 22, selling at a loss. I'm actually in front of a home that unfortunately looks like it's about to be ready to do the same thing. So I wanted to pull this up and kind of give you guys another example, as we do from time to time here. So this is the house I'm walking by, guys. It is currently pending, listed at $799. Just did a pretty hefty price cut here back in June, down $122,000. So it's 3 beds, 2 baths, 2,134 square feet. Let's take a look and then we'll see what they bought it for. So you've got a very nice view in the back here. This is a great picture view cage, no-show cage. Interested to see a little more of that pool. Here's your dock with the lift. Looks like we got a metal tile roof. I think this was replaced when the previous owner purchased it. Nice size inside. I did look at the previous pictures on the MLS. Looks like they did paint in here, but not a lot of upgrades since they last purchased it. And again, we will get to that. But nice size house, tray ceilings. Primary is a good size. What's the primary bath look like? Double vanities, tub, shower. Okay, pretty nice house. Nice closet organizer. Let's get out. Seating area. I sold a house recently with a similar layout to this. Got an okay covered area. This gets a little tight here, though. You kind of like step out and you're right in the pool, but that's probably because of the setback restrictions. Okay, so that pool's a little slim. It's a cool looking pool, but it's a little tight. Again, most likely because of the setbacks. Okay, so this spent 186 days on the market. Not bad for Punta Gorda. That's kind of standard, but they had to do some price drops. And just to show you guys where I'm located, I am currently walking down Whippoorwill Boulevard. So you'll see as far as access, this is what it looks like to get out. And if you guys don't know where this is, again, in Punta Gorda, the grand scheme of things here, that's where we are in the state of Florida. So this originally sold in June of 2020 for $560,000. It was then relisted in 2023 for $950,000, a 69% increase. And you know what? They got 905. They got 905 in 2023. So barely 3 years ago, this owner paid 905 and then relisted it the following year in 2024 for 921. Got a pending sale, but lost it, unfortunately. Came back on the market at 921 and has ridden it down. Came back on the market in January at 921. Had to cut it to $799 to get it sold. So we're at $799 now, pending sale. We don't know what this is going to close at, but already it's a $105,000 price drop. So we're looking at a 12% haircut just on the pending price. Again, we're going to keep an eye on this and see what it closed at, but that's what's going on in the market here. 12%, actually not too bad, all things considered, with what's going on around Punta Gorda Isles. And we'll just give you a quick taste of the 327 homes currently listed around the area. This is crazy. Look at this. Look at this. You can't even, where do you start? Where do you start? And the prices are all over the place. This is all water access. This is nuts. So you guys can see as well, they're still building all over Punta Gorda Isles too. Waterfront homes. So no shortage of listings, not really a shortage of any new ones being built as well. And if you're going to make the choice to buy a waterfront property, if it's within your budget, you're going to go for the new construction. Now, that is the one caveat on the new construction, guys. It is way more expensive to buy a new construction home on the water than it is to buy a resale. And that's generally where that flips and inverts. Normally, I always say, hey, new construction's cheaper. It's the way to go. With the price of pools coming down, even if it doesn't have a pool, might be worth to get a new build, throw a pool in it, but doesn't seem to be that way on the water. I get a lot of custom home questions too, like, our custom home builders doing deals? No, I don't see, no. You're going to build a custom home, you're going to pay for custom work. That's just how it is. It's going to always be different than spec building. Even if you go to builders who are cutting deals on quick move-in homes, like if you go to some of these communities and they're doing great incentives on quick move-ins, if you build the same house from the ground up, it is going to be 10 to 20% more from what they tell me and what I've seen. It's just the way it is. Custom building is always going to be more expensive, and there seems to be a pretty steady demand for it still. Prices definitely are more reasonable than they used to be, but that's just the way it is. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. If you like this video, give me a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.